No, they're not our most intelligent people, but they are conspiratorial.
They're fronts.
I mean, when you get somebody from the Skull and Bones and the Trilateral Commission and a guy who says, everything I am today I owe to David Rockefeller, founder of the Trilateral Commission. Why is it that we don't talk about this organization? If they were members of the Nazi Party, if they were members of the Boy Scouts, or some drag queen over in West Hollywood, we would be talking about them. They would be front page headlines. But the Trilateral Commission, 78, 90 people, who controls all three candidates for the President of the United States in 1980?
We like to say in this country that we have the ability as Americans to elect. But the problem is we do not have the ability to select. We can only elect, which means that we can only vote for those candidates which are put before us by our masters, our hidden masters behind the scenes. And when you understand that the Democratic and the Republican Party are financed, and believe me, in this world, money is the bottom line, if you have it or if you don't. And the Democratic and the Republican Party are financed and organized and directed by the same banking families. The same people who finance your banks are the same people who finance your institutions of government. As a matter of fact, the word for bench in relation to a judge sitting on the bench comes from banco, which is in Latin, meaning the bank. The judge sits on the bench, which is a Latin word for the bank. He officiates for the system. So when you go into a court, you're sitting before a court of order which is actually being financed by government. So what we're talking about here is a system.
How many people today know that the Federal Reserve is not federal?
It has nothing to do with this
government. It is not a reserve.
No.
They create that fiat money that you use. It's like monopoly money. For less than a penny a note, they lend it to the U.S. Treasury in exchange for interest-bearing bonds. They print this stuff for less than a penny a note. They lend it in exchange for interest-bearing bonds. They issue this into circulation as debt-bearing currency. We cannot exist as a free and independent nation when this evilarchy controls the strings. We have to abolish the privately owned Federal Reserve System.
And that's why on the dollar bill it says up in the left-hand corner on the dollar bill, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. The reason it was put on there is because it was a piece of paper, and you have to tell the people that it's legal. You don't have to tell anyone.
It used to say, and is redeemable in lawful money.
Yes.
Redeemable in lawful money. That meant it's not lawful money. It's not a dollar. If you have a piece of toilet paper, it can be used and tossed away. But as soon as you print Federal Reserve note, it becomes an obligation of the public to pay.
So what we're saying is that the Federal Reserve System has nothing whatsoever to do with the federal government. Just like federal vacuum cleaners and federated department stores has nothing to do with, it's a word. It is a play on words. The Federal Reserve System is a private banking institution with most of its holders. The
Class A stockholders have never been revealed to the United States public. There's never been an audit.
Right, never been an audit.
Independent audit.
This organization, okay, that you say is pulling strings here, how many people are controlling this? Is this at the helm of one man, or is this...
It's an oligarchy. I call it an evilarchy because they want to bring about a Luciferian new world order.
And by Luciferian,
we're talking about...
do you mean...
I'm talking about a satanic order. And if you take a look at the layout of Washington, D.C., and Jordan Maxwell is the expert on this,
no, I've got
you will find out that the entire city was laid out in symbols. If you take a look at the obelisk and the Illuminati pyramid at the top of the
yes, as a matter of fact, the two main
monument.
Streets going toward the Capitol building, if you take, which I have pictures over the city, looking down on Washington, D.C., you'll see there are two main boulevards culminating in a pyramid. And just at the very top of the pyramid is a street cutting it off. And then within the triangle at the top, where the eye on the dollar bill is the Capitol. And the Capitol building sits there. It's a pyramid. Then it has the Cleopatra's Needle, which is a Washington monument. And the river, the long riverway, the long waterway is called the River Styx, which is where Pharaoh went into heaven on the River Styx. It is all laid out in Masonic symbolism, and the five-pointed star, which is a pentagram, has always been used. Satan worship, satanic worship, the five-pointed pentagram, and if you take the arms off of a pentagram, you have a pentagon. And the United States Pentagon is sitting exactly due north, aiming due north at the North Star Thuban, which is drawing power, according to the ancient Egyptians, for the god of war.
It's the same pentagram that was on the Night Stalker's hand.
Right. Now, I'm trying to get an angle.
Satanic ritual killings.
I'm trying to get an angle, though, on what exactly you mean by Satanism. Are you referring, or satanic, do you mean the elevation of human reason, or do you, the strong survive, or do you mean a group of people who are actually worshiping a bona fide spiritual...
We're talking about the warlocks of Washington here. We're talking about people who have satanic rituals. We're talking about people who believe in a LuciFer 2000. We're talking about the creation of a new world order in a millennium. When George Bush talks about 1,000 points of light, what do you think he's talking about, 1,000 points of light? Could it be 1,000-year millennium under LuciFer? What do you think, Jordan?
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind that all the terminology is the same. If you go back through the speeches that Adolf Hitler made and the top Nazi speechwriters, and then listen to what Ronald Reagan had to say, and George Bush, and now our new incoming president.
Well, Hitler talked about 1,000 points of, he's talked about 1,000-year Reich, and Bush is talking about 1,000 points of light. And I don't think it's just a coincidence that Adolf Hitler's second book is...
Not points of light?
And his term, Bush is
New
talking
World
about
Order
1,000 points of light. 1,000 points of light. Light is very important to Luciferians. It has to do with Lucifer. It has to do with satanic societies. And what we're saying here is that the government of the United States is in the hands of some very powerful, sinister people who are manipulating not only us, but the rest of the world.
If you can take a look at, just take a road map of Washington, D.C. Just take a look at it from the air, and you'll see what appears to be the goat of Mendez. And the goat of Mendez...
Which is a symbol in Freemasonry. Right. It's a symbol, it's a demonic symbol within the Freemasonic
You see the goat
order.
and the horns and the whole thing. The whole city is laid out like that. It's all over.
So what we're basically saying here is that there is nothing happening by chance. As I brought out before, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg with their Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And the Last Crusade is for the Holy Grail, the Cup of Christ. It's not by chance that we have movies like that, because they're in... Why is Adolf Hitler always involved with Indiana Jones? The Last Crusade you can't understand unless you understand the First Crusade. The First Crusade was developed by what we call the Knights Templars Masonic Lodge. The Knights Templars are the ones that gave us what we call the Columbian faction of the Illuminati, which comes to America and founds itself in the state of New York, which comes from the old York Rite in England, from the Duke of York to old York, England, to New York, the Empire State. Then if you understand that Europe has dominated the world for almost 1,600 years, and we refer to Europe as the Old World. Therefore, the power structure of Europe is the Old World Order. That's the power structure of the Old World.
We're going to be doing some more of this.
Well, folks, it's time to take our break. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this very short pause.